1 second earlier than when it actually becomes a problem, you have bought that extra time to react to it and develop a strategy in your mind of how you're going to deal with it. So first of all, your movement. You want to stop using your keyboard to turn your character, purely because, one, it takes dramatically too long, and you're now stopping using functions of the game, such as your camera. You're moving out from a boss, but there's things going on behind you. You need to check to when to move back in. Let's look at bosses that do a large AoE attack. Springs to mind, a lot of you may have done Ulduar. Let's take it back a little bit and try and incorporate something you can relate to. Ulduar, and the council boss of the 3 golems. One of them does a very large AoE. So if we were to take our training dummy as an example, this guy with a skull on him is a little golem who does the AoE attack. So you're DPSing away, suddenly he starts casting. Now this is the clicker response to that situation. One is to turn, take an eternity, start running away, and now we can't see him. We can't see the effect of the AoE. We might have a cast bar up, but it's still, and we're still running, and then we've got to turn around again, and we've got to run back. Not good. Let's look at the keybinded response to the situation. He starts casting. We've already turned, and now we've turned our camera to watch what's going on. Are people in trouble? Anything like that? And we've seen it straight away. We've turned instantly straight back again, and we're still DPSing. What else adds to that? Because that might not seem like too much to you, although believe me, that is a dramatic improvement to your play, is when you've turned, you're not DPSing. You've stopped DPS as a clicker. Okay, so let's just get back and look at what else we can do as a keybinded player with some form of range tonight with DPS and the AoE started. This moves you as fast and instant, and we're still DPSing. It's casted. We've managed to throw in some spells as we run in. Very easy. Okay, so you've actually improved your DPS instantly by being keybinded, because you can still move. You're still looking at what's going on. You've managed to strafe away. Very easy. Coming back. That's a ton of extra damage that you've caused there. Absolute ton of extra damage. Okay, so that is the first things first that's going to benefit you that a clicker simply cannot do. Cannot do. I'll try and do it as a clicker, see what happens. Turning. You can't strafe. So, no, it's just... it's like walking through mud. It really is. The comparison... You'll notice it yourselves once we get you switched over. It's really is like walking through mud, and we don't want to do that. Okay, so... we want to keybind. A couple of reasons we've come up so far. One, movement is dramatically important. If you look at another example is, if any of you have done any Firelands so far, a boss called Shanox, which is a hunter, the very first boss in the Firelands. He drops traps absolutely everywhere. Now, a situation as a melee DPS, which happens all the time, is we'll take our skull, he's now Shanox, a giant Ragnaros-owned worm of death. He's a hunter, he's got a spear, there's dogs running around everywhere, a lot of things going on. But from a melee DPS in Firelands, it's one of the most simplistic bosses. What is our main issue is we're DPSing from behind. Okay, our training dummy is Shanox. Here we've got a tank. Now the tank is having to avoid traps, and he's also dragging away from one of the dogs to reset his bleed debuffs. Okay, if you're not familiar with that, all I want you to picture in your mind is the training dummy as a boss. In front of we're attacking from behind, so we don't get parried as a melee DPS. And in front of the boss is a tank who's walking backwards like this. Okay, he's moving backwards pretty regularly to do things in the fight. Okay, you don't need to worry about what he's doing, but he's moving the boss. So we are constantly following the boss behind. Now, these traps, these things on the floor, for your sake, we'll call them bombs. Okay, if you've never dealt with it, but they're traps. Okay, and these traps burn you for a lot of damage, and you want to avoid them. Now, what will happen often is the tank is moving backwards like this with the boss. We'll call our lovely Death Knight Nexa. He's going to be a bomb. So there's a boss in front of us. We're the tank. We're moving backwards. There's a trap here. Oh, tank's moved. Move the boss away. Now, as a melee DPS, quite hard to picture, I know, but we're DPS from behind. Now here, there's a giant boss. Our tank is there. We just cannot see this trap, this bomb. Our Death Knight bomb. In this instance, we just cannot see him whatsoever because there's a boss on top of him and a tank. And especially if you've got a feral druid like we use on occasion. A huge fat bear is covering it with his fat fuzzy ways. We can't see it. And you've got to also include, you might have, especially in 25 man, is 6 or 7 melee DPS, including Ret Paladins, consecrating the area, filling the ground with clutter. So we just cannot see it. And then suddenly, oh my god, the boss has just moved. Holy crap, right in my path is this Death Knight. Now, if you're looking at your keys here because you're clicking, you're going to miss it. You're going to walk into the bomb. If your attention is completely in this area of the screen, you've noticed it, and while moving, you've strafed around it. Instantly, you've saved yourself a death. And you need to react sometimes within that 1 second, half a second period, and you cannot do that if you're clicking these keys. You can't do it because you're looking at your keys. You're looking at this area of your screen and not looking at this area of your screen where things are happening. As soon as we can pull your attention away from here and move it to here, then we are already improving your play. So next step is, how do we change to a key binding? Now, when I switched to key binding, I was a clicker most of the way through vanilla. Up to about AQ40 was when I started my key binding, and there was no guides or anything like that for it. So what did we do? I key binded absolutely everything. Just looking at my basic Frost Death Knight, one of the most simplistic classes to play at the moment at a basic level. There's a good 25 abilities there. So I just went out and key binded absolutely everything, and instantly failed. Because I couldn't remember what abilities do what. I was trying to be cool. I just couldn't cope. What spell did I bind that to? Oh, God, I need to do it. So I clicked straight away. I just cracked, and I had to click to keep up with what I was doing. So it's really the wrong way to do about it. How do we start? Well, in World of Warcraft, every character it's different for each of them. I understand that, but in general, there's about 3 or 4 abilities that you use all the time. Absolutely all the time. Those abilities that you use every single fight. And let's give a couple of examples. On my Death Knight, it would be Howling Blast, Plague Strike, Obliterate, and Frost Strike. Those are just 4 spells I'm using more than any other. Absolutely more than any other spell. I'm using those 4. On a Priest, Great Heal, Flash Heal, Prayer of Mending. If it's Holy, Circle of Healing probably. Discipline, you're probably using Penance, Bubble, all that kind of thing. Hunter, let's say a Survival Hunter, it's what? Explosive Shot, Cobra Shot, Serpent Sting, that kind of thing. You know, everybody's got these 3 or 4 abilities that you use absolutely all the time. Fire Mage, Living Bomb, Fireball, Pyroblast, Scorch. With those 4 spells binded, you can already start to feel the difference in your play, and you're not looking at anything. Don't worry about your major cooldowns for now. A lot of people leave their major cooldowns unbound. We don't want to do that. We'll look at how we can modify that later in the day. But for a start, to get yourself keybinded, you want these 4 spells, okay? You want to hit it up, you want to bind these 4 spells, and then you're going to be rocking your socks. So just to start with, key bindings. Now this screen is an absolute disaster. What the hell Blizzard were thinking with this, I don't know. There's just endless amounts of things to be bind. Especially if you've got some add-ons that add key bindings to it. Christ. Who's thinking of this? Really, it's the worst system ever. I mean, this is why I use Bartender. I'll just give you a quick look. It's a brilliant mod. Bartender, I click key bindings. How easy is this? Hover over a button and press a key to set its binding. How easy is that in comparison to Blizzard's endless screen of key bindings? I hover over and I press the button and it key binds it. Happy, happy days. But let's say for a moment, most of you are going to be using the Blizzard UI. Movement keys, if I were you, what I'd start to do first to do this is unbind, move forward and move backwards. The only reason I haven't unbound them is simply I've never had need to do so. Really have never. Since vanilla, I didn't ever need to do it. So, unbind those and then just start running around with your mouse. Get used to it. By the way, jumping is cool. Anybody who says jumping isn't cool doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Jumping is cool. Jumping and spinning your camera as a keybinder, even more cool. Yeah, baby. So we are looking for our action bar buttons. Here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be, if you're using standard Blizzard UI, it's going to be your first bar. And as it goes down, special attack, pet attacks, action page 1. You can add more action bars to your screen. I think it's maximum of 4 with the standard Blizzard UI. This is where these come into it. So, we're binding 4 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4. And don't forget your mouse. You should have a gaming mouse. If you haven't got a proper gaming mouse, that's fine. But I suggest you invest in one. They're really, really helpful. Now, if you've got something ridiculous like a Razer Naga, like I have, you have an outrageous amount of buttons on on your mouse, but don't worry about that. Most of you will have a standard 2-side mouse button mouse. That is pretty standard these days to have. And all you're going to do is click move and steer. I don't know what that is. You're going to click it, press a keybind, and then it's going to save it. That's it. Okay? So what I'd suggest you do is mix it up so you can always use your keys. So 1, Howling Blast, 2, Plague Strike, 3, Obliterate, and side mouse button, Frost Strike. We're going to be using these abilities all the time. Just bind those, and instantly you're starting to do all your DPS without having to look at it. You're looking at the boss. You're not looking at your bars. You've no need to do so. Blizzard even built in mods now so you can see abilities when they need to be used, such as procs. All that has been built in for you. No problem at all. So it's dead easy. And do them first 4 buttons, okay? Do those first 4 buttons and just get used to them. Put yourself on a training dummy for 5-6 minutes. Start getting your fingers used to it, because these are going to pre-program into your brain. Now my Obliterate is on Shift 3. Shift 3 seems awkward for something that I use all the time. Obliterate has always been on Shift 3 for me, and I can't change it. If I wanted to change it, it would wreck my mind. I would be throwing up in a corner, crawling under my desk, crying in a little ball. I could not change it. So, but it doesn't matter for me. You guys are just starting to get key bindings, so think about your key bindings before you set it. There's no point in thinking, well, I'll put that on Alt-T or something ridiculous. If you want 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3 and a mouse button, or even some classes completely bind to the mouse, it's entirely up to you, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Just do your 4 keys for now, and that's going to get you on your way to being a better player straight away. Alright guys, so that's going to be the basic guide. We're going to look at more advanced, and now we can move into binding absolutely everything and lining up cooldowns. So that's going to be our more advanced DPS guide. But for now, just try that for me. Give me some feedback. Let me know how it's got on for you. Okay, take it easy. Be sure to check out the live stream so we can talk to each other. The link is down in the bottom of the description. Have fun, and I'll see you guys later.